Welcome back, fifth graders. We're on day 4 now. We're still working with SOL 5.6, locate information to support opinions, predictions, and conclusions in a nonfiction text. Our learning target for day 4 is I can draw 3 conclusions about nonfiction passages using a graphic organizer. So you're getting your notes back out. We're looking at the drawing conclusions section of our anchor chart. So you'll see that just right over here. Once again, my video is covering the header, but we know where it is. Drawing conclusions is an overall opinion formed after reading a passage based on your inferences. So once again, we're noticing how the word opinion and the word inference are used when we're talking about drawing conclusions. Remember, drawing conclusions happens at the end of the story. So basically what we're doing is at the end, we're forming an opinion using our inferences that we made throughout the story. One really interesting job that requires you to draw conclusions is being a detective. So we're actually going to watch a clip from one of my favorite shows as a kid, Crash Box on HBO, where the detective Verity is going to listen to 4 suspects' claims or their stories, and she is going to decide which ones are guilty and which ones are not using her schema, which is her prior knowledge, her background knowledge, and using text evidence. And her text evidence here is going to be what the suspects are saying. That is going to help her draw her conclusion. So let's check out how she does it.
My name's Verity. I bust bad guys. You want to help? Come on in. We got 4 suspects pinned down. 3 of them are guilty. Listen to their stories and spot the mistakes. The ones that lie did the crime. Today, we're interviewing the Lemon Sisters. Seems 3 of them broke into the public library and reshelved all the books. The savages. Remember, only one of these mugs is telling the truth. The other 3 are lying. Let's start with Honey Lemon.
I was at the doctor. My teeth have always been crooked, and since that just wouldn't do, I went to the orthopedist to get braces. Don't I look beautiful? See?
A real stunner. But does an orthopedist put on braces? Let's move on to Candy Lemon.
I'd catch my death at a dusty old library. I was at the planetarium. I saw the red planet, Venus.
Is Venus the red planet, or is she playing us for a sucker? Next up, Sugar Lemon.
Verity, Verity, Verity. You must know that I would never touch a book. I was in Austria. I saw kangaroos and then went scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef. Truly, Verity, a library.
Are there kangaroos in Austria? We only have one sister left. The youngest Lemon sister, Puddin'. Guess they were running out of names.
Verity, you simply must believe me. I was at the art gallery during this horrible event. I was looking at the painting called Still Life with Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh. I'd never reshelve. Ever.
Did Van Gogh paint still life with sunflowers?
Ooh, I'll get back to that in a second. We'll see the end. I meant to pause it. But what I wanted to say to you was, I hope you heard how she was listening to their stories, which is their text evidence, and she was also thinking about what they were saying. For instance, she said, is Venus really the red planet? So she's using her schema with what the Lemon sisters are saying. So let me just skip ahead to where we left off. And be a little
Reshelf. Ever.
Did Van Gogh paint still life with sunflowers? Once again, the guilty ones practically confessed. Did you spot the mistakes?
I went to the orthopedist to get braces.
Honey's bitten off more than she can chew. You go to an orthopedist if you break a bone. If you want braces on your teeth, you go to an orthodontist.
I'd catch my death at a dusty old library. I was at the planetarium. I saw the red planet, Venus.
Seems like Candy's in a different solar system. The red planet is Mars, not Venus.
I was in Austria. I saw kangaroos and then went scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef.
Sugar, sugar, sugar. Maybe the library would do you some good. Kangaroos and the Great Barrier Reef are in Australia, not Austria.
I was looking at the painting called Still Life with Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh.
Puddin' may have a silly name, but she sure knows her artwork. Vincent van Gogh did paint still life with sunflowers. So, like the old saying goes, when life hands you lemons, throw 'em in jail.
Okay, so it seems like the conclusion that Verity drew was that Puddin' Lemon was the only sister that wasn't guilty. So if we look at our graphic organizer, that's what your graphic organizer is going to look for today, and the same thing that Verity was just using in our video. You're going to use inferences from the text, plus your schema, your background knowledge, everything that you know, and that's going to equal your conclusion. So let's go ahead and take a look at our sentence starters for today. So once again, you can start your sentences for your conclusion almost any way you want, but make sure that we're writing a nice full sentences. So these will help you out if you feel a little stuck. The first one is based on the text, ... Remember, you don't write the ... when you're writing your sentence. That's just to show in our notes that words have to come after. Based on my inferences, ... And I conclude that ... if you think you're an expert. So since conclusions are made when we are at the end of our text, we are going to use a worksheet today instead of an article. And this worksheet has lots of one paragraph little stories. So we are going to go ahead and click on this link. You should have the link as well. Okay, it says, reading comprehension, drawing conclusions. Great readers draw conclusions based on hints from the author in a story. When you draw conclusions, you use the information from the passage to make a guess about something. Readers use the author's hints or evidence to support their conclusion. So once again, they're telling us how authors are leaving us hints, clues on purpose in order for us to dig deeper to draw conclusions. Directions. Read each passage, then draw a conclusion about the story based on the details in the passage. Underline the hints the author gives in the passage. So you might have been able to print this out. If you haven't been able to print this out, it's okay. Don't worry about the underlining because we are going to put it in our graphic organizer anyway. But something that I like about this passage is in the draw a conclusion column, they have a question that we're focusing on. So we already have a little bit of help when it comes to drawing our conclusion. Okay, so just like normal, I'm going to do number 1. We'll work together on number 2, and then you will finish the rest at home in your graphic organizer. So paragraph 1, or passage 1, says, preparations were set and the violinist was ready. Anxious faces stared at the clock, wondering exactly what was taking her so long. The groom fiddled his thumbs and combed his hair back nervously. Finally, the violinist began a sweet-sounding melody, and everyone rose in their seats. So I've already completed in my graphic organizer the information for passage 1. I chose the text, "The groom fiddled with his thumbs and combed his hair back nervously." So that was my text evidence. My schema, or what I know, is that grooms are typically at weddings. That's usually where they are, right? My conclusion is that they are at a wedding. Because the question is, where are they? I said I conclude that they are at a wedding. Something else you might even be able to conclude based on your schema, maybe every wedding you've been to, if you've been to any, maybe the weddings you've been to were in a church. So you might even say, I can conclude that they are in a church if you wanted to get more specific. But that's not always the case. However, your schema could lead you to draw a different conclusion. So they're not always going to be the same, just like with an opinion or an inference. Let's look at paragraph, or I'm sorry, I keep saying paragraph. Let's look at passage 2 together. What we're going to do is I will select the text evidence that we're going to focus on. Then I'll give you a little bit of time to add your schema and come up with your conclusion. Passage 2. My bags were ready and the only thing left to pack were the food provisions. Who knew what we'd need, especially since my parents were coming too. They always brought enough food to feed an army. I checked the lantern to make sure the batteries worked, and I called Tempest to the car. She wagged her tail happily. She was ready for her first overnight adventure in nature. Okay, and I forgot to read the question before I read the passage. The question is, where are they going? So the text that we are all going to use is, she was ready for her first overnight adventure in nature. Let me see. I chose that last sentence there. And that's the one you're going to write in the text evidence side of your graphical organizer. You can kind of see that I've already done mine. I'm going to get our music going from YouTube. And I'm going to let you guys have about 4 minutes to complete your graphic organizer for this passage. Letting the ads play. 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead. All right, so let's get back to it. You should have written down the text evidence. She was ready for her first overnight adventure in nature. Then you're adding that to your schema, whatever it may be. My schema was spending the night in nature, usually involves camping. And my conclusion was, I conclude that they are going camping. Very simple, not too fancy. Hopefully you came up with something that was similar to that. All right, so now what you're going to do is you are going to work on these last 3 passages at home on your own. And then you're going to make your way over to the choice board and select an extra activity for you to do. There's some fun stuff on there, so make sure you go check it out. All right, just to remind you, it's the end of day 4, and our learning target was I can draw 3 conclusions about nonfiction passages using a graphic organizer. So that is what you'll be doing at home right now. We want to be able to draw conclusions so that we can connect to our text and and have deep thoughts about what we're reading, because we're not just looking at words on a page. Authors write for a reason. So we want to be able to connect and to think deeply about that reason and be active readers. All right, well, I hope you have a great day and that I see you tomorrow. Well, not see you, but that you see me tomorrow on your computer screen. All right, see you later, 5th grade. Bye.